Welcome to Decentralize TV. I'm Mike Adams, the founder of Brighteon.com. And today on Decentralize TV, we're focusing on food decentralization, how to get off the grid and become more self-reliant in your own food supply, local nutrition, working with local people, and building local communities that can help you be, of course, redundant, self-reliant, and not dependent on the centralized food control grid, which is poisoning and killing you, by the way. So today joining us is an exceptional individual named Jim Gale. His website is foodforestabundance.com, and he joins us now to talk about food decentralization and so much more. Welcome to the show, Jim. It's great to have you back on.
Oh, thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited and inspired to share with everybody how simple it is when you start planting seeds to be completely food self-reliant. As we know, the food supply chain has been weaponized for thousands of years. And the solution to that weapon is to grow your own food.
Absolutely, 100%. And of course, you've been doing it in an exceptional way. I'd like you to describe your project. Let me just, a little show note for the viewers. My co-host, Todd Pittner, will be joining us after this interview for, additional reaction and commentary and so on. So, Jim, getting back to you, first tell us about the project that you have constructed. Now, and last time I interviewed you, you were walking and showing with your camera what you had done. It's extraordinary, but just kind of verbally describe it for us today, if you would, please.
Absolutely. So I started waking up about 17 years ago. I was in Costa Rica. And the first thing we did when we built a new community was we bought a whole fruit tree nursery. We bought every plant. And we brought them up and we started planting fruit trees everywhere. Now, at that time, I did not know about the science of permaculture. So we just said, let's put one here, let's put one here, let's put them all over. And whichever ones live, great. If some die, that's just how it goes. Well, what I've done since then is become a huge advocate of permaculture, which is an agricultural design science that basically models after natural systems to create massive yields with the least amount of energy input. So I am not a farmer. I'm a harvester. I can walk outside my door right now, and there are 230 different types of food-producing perennial plants, not annuals. This is not gardening, right? I live in the Garden of Eden, but it's not gardening. I simply walk outside and these perennials produce more and more abundance every single year. And if you want them to look fancy, if you want to look like a landscaped yard, sure, you can cut the edges and trim them into squares or circles or whatever you want. Or if you want it like we do, a natural food forest, you just let it go and it keeps getting better every year.
Now, tell us about some of the plants that and also trees and shrubs and so on that you're harvesting from. I know last time you showed us some of the papaya and bananas, and this food forest that you're living in is located in Florida. So I want people to understand the climate is definitely a factor there. But tell us about some of the plants that you're growing and harvesting off of right now.
So we have raspberries and blueberries and blackberries and avocados and tangerines and grapefruits and oranges and strawberries and avocados and many types of grapes, probably 10 types of bananas. We've got everything you can imagine, longans and mimones and peaches, and every fruit that you could probably name we have growing at Galt's Landing. And here's the thing, my buddy in northern Minnesota, his food forest is 5 years old. My food forest is about 2 years old. My food forest is thriving and can provide enough food in 2 years to feed multiple families. His food forest makes mine look like a baby.
Really?
In northern Minnesota, he has over 300 different types of edible plants growing. And you walk into his space and it is epic with life. There's birds and butterflies and frogs and turtles and all this life that's documented on his property. It's like an oasis of life that is attracted from all over because it's a great place to live.
So I'm really glad you mentioned Minnesota there because, a lot of people assume, well, you can only do this in Florida or Southern California. No, you can do this in North Dakota if you want. You can do it in Montana. You can do it in upstate New York. You can do this in Canada if you want. I mean, sure, the plants are different, right? You're not going to grow bananas in, Toronto, but there's food available no matter where you live, except maybe the North Pole or something.
No, exactly. No matter where you live, permaculture design is about designing for the agricultural zone and the elements around us, right? So in some areas, maybe in Wyoming, there's going to be more of a focus on certain types of meat and animals, and there will be maybe fewer plants available, although there are still thousands. Like, that's the thing. We've been lied to forever about how easy it is to live in pure abundance, right? Fear and scarcity are the ultimate control mechanisms
Oh, you
of
nailed
evil.
it. Yeah, scarcity. In fact, I want to ask you about this very point. And this is one of the main focuses here of the show, Decentralize TV, which is that we're probably going to be entering an era of forced food rationing. So scarcity will be used as a weapon against the people, a weapon of control. You might only be able to buy meat if you agree to use a central bank digital currency wallet system run by the government that can surveil your activities. I'd like to know your thoughts on that, Jim, but also your solution, which is so much better, is to don't use those mark of the beast systems, frankly. Yeah. Grow your own food. It's just like crypto miners are mining their own coin. You're growing your own food, and it's not on the surveillance grid anywhere. It's off-grid food. The government doesn't even know about it.
It's completely off-grid. In fact, we've got areas that are considered wetlands, right, which we're allowed to have cattle. We're allowed to cut everything down, and we're allowed to use glyphosate on these areas. What we're not legally allowed to do, right? Legal is the undoing of God's law. We are not allowed to put a food forest on this land. But guess what we have on this land? A big food forest. and we're serving our community in such epic ways that the community is coming around and they're saying thank you, and they become our protectors. And our ultimate protection is to show and demonstrate truth and abundance in such a way that even the wicked who come are inspired, and they don't want to harm us. They don't want to harm this beautiful creation. It's God's creation. We've designed it and put it into our land in such a way that inspires 100% of people who have visited.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because this isn't just talk, folks. You can actually go visit your food forest there. So tell us about that. I know you've had quite a number of visitors since we last had you on the show, and also you're working with a lot of people to spread the concept of food forests all over the country. Just give us an idea of what can people do? They can come tour, they can see it. What can people do?
So we have created an entity called a Freedom Farm Academy. A Freedom Farm Academy is a culmination of all of the elements of freedom. We are 100% off-grid, 100%. We do not comply with any forms of tyranny. And we have rental units, we have Airbnbs, we have demonstration and education facilities. We can teach people how to raise bees, how to use aquaculture, how to propagate seeds. And so we invite people to Galt's Landing in Central Florida. And there's a website, it's galtswalks.com, where people can book and reserve their Airbnb and come and stay with us for a few days. And they can experience what it's like to be in a place of true beauty and abundance. And we're on a 430-acre private lake. There's actually a runway to our east, and world leaders are coming in, and they're learning about freedom. And that's our intention, is to demonstrate freedom. We don't want to talk about freedom. We want to prove this model. And so we're doing this all over the world. We're in Africa and Asia and Canada, the US, and we're creating these systems all over the world. They're seeds of abundance that are scaling. They're like nurseries of abundance everywhere.
So that's galtswalks.com?
Yeah.
Plural on both words?
Yes.
Okay. Now, that's amazing. I really encourage viewers to, if they can get there, go take a look, because it'll blow your mind, it'll change your life. But would you agree, Jim, with the statement that no one on planet Earth needs to go hungry? That hunger, famine, scarcity is actually engineered by perhaps a combination of governments and corporations, but it's definitely engineered. It's not the natural state of things.
biggest lie ever told to humanity. There is massive abundance everywhere when we design it into our landscape. That's the key, is design food producing plants instead of ornamentals. So when we design our landscape, when we take the poisons out and design our landscape to be productive instead of what we currently have, we have poisoned lawns. There are 44 million acres of lawn in the United States alone. When we simply take the poisons out and convert half of our lawns into these regenerative edible landscapes, these habitats for butterflies and birds and bees and life that provide so many values to us, it's the best investment for fiat, which is going down. We're composting the fiat and we're turning it into something that is creating epic abundance.
I love that term, composting the fiat. That's awesome. Love to hear that. In fact, let me ask you about money. So what forms of payment do you currently accept for people who come in and rent, to stay there? And also, what forms of payment are you planning on accepting when the dollar collapses?
Yeah, right. We are accepting crypto, we're accepting trade, and we are accepting fiat right now. And we have said many times, food security is when everybody eats. So I've been focused obsessively on the question, how do we catalyze a shift that leads to mass adoption of using our land wisely? And so when you're obsessed with something for so many years, you start really understanding it. So we see a path in the next 16 months, we're going to change the world. We being all of us awake people are going to take the poisons out and start living free and being the demonstrators of freedom. And when we do that, there's no logical reason not to do this. There's two reasons not to: ignorance and evil. And when we demonstrate it, we wipe out both of those.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great to have a recognized human right nationwide that every person who owns a little plot of land, it could be your front yard, your backyard, whatever, even a small piece, has the right to grow food on that? Because right now, all across America, in many neighborhoods with the HOAs, which are like the Nazi organizations that run around and say, no cucumbers for you, which is crazy. It's insane with the food prices in the grocery store. Why shouldn't every person be able to use their land to grow food?
Yes, and again, this is part of Kissinger's strategy, the deep state strategy to control the minds and the action and the energy of their asset, the slave, right? Goethe said, none are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. My friends, we've been slaves and we are now coming into our freedom, our sovereignty. And so absolutely, man, this is insane that they will legally say you can use poisons, but you can't grow food.
I know, it's incredible. So just to be clear, I take it that on your food forest, you don't use any glyphosate or atrazine, weed killer chemicals at all, correct?
We have nothing but nature building upon itself, right? There's free energy everywhere, right? When we design things to capture and store energy, which is a permaculture principle, catch and store water. And when we design those systems into the land, then the land, it grows itself. Again, I'm not a farmer, and we're not asking people to be farmers. We're simply showing them how to design their land so they can walk outside and there's food everywhere.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I've been also trying to teach a lot of people to understand these principles. So, for example, the sun comes for free, right? And then plants, you said you grow blueberry plants. So let's talk about blueberries. They have amazing anthocyanin molecules, which are part of the purple color pigmentation. Did you know, Jim, that you probably do know this, that those molecules also help halt spike protein damage in the body? Did you know that?
Wow. Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's anthocyanins, also reduces cardiovascular inflammation and so on. So anyway, these anthocyanins are made, I think, almost entirely from just three elements, hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen. So if you look up the molecule, in a chemistry index, you'll see it's HCO. Well, the carbon comes from the air. They're just stripping CO2 right out of the atmosphere. The oxygen and the hydrogen are found in the water that the plant gets from its roots. And the power to drive this whole system comes free from the sun through photosynthesis. So think about it. Out of nothing but sunlight, water, and air,
Yeah.
they make medicine for free?
Yeah.
Seriously?
It's
Anti-spike
incredible.
protein? Yes, that's what I'm saying. For free.
Yes, and you put a 5-gallon bucket down with good soil in it. You put some sweet potatoes or potatoes in there and give it a little sun, a little water, and now the dirt turns into food.
It is extraordinary, and the answers are just right there in front of us on so many topics like this. But let me ask you about a little bit more. Let's talk about medicine. So I would imagine that you also grow many different medicinal herbs or first aid herbs, things like that. What's the philosophy of your food forest, your community there about medicine, and how much can you grow or are you growing that's useful for medicinal purposes?
So Hippocrates said, let thy food be thy medicine, let thy medicine be thy food. We have every single thing we're growing is a form of medicine, right? Turmeric, of course, is one of the best.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Ginger and moringa. And pretty much every single thing has a medicinal quality. It's like eating sunlight. I'm 53 years old. I just did 34 pull-ups. I've never felt so good in my life, and I'm eating completely different. In fact, for the next month, I'm going to be eating 90% of my food is going to be out of my food forest.
Wow.
And the 10% where I'm out and, where I may be on a trip, on a speaking tour or something. I love speaking and sharing these messages with people. So I've got a few tours, but then I don't eat as good. But when I'm at my food forest,
I had the same. That's why I end up hauling all my food with me. I'm known for setting up Vitamix blenders in hotel bathrooms and annoying everybody with all the blending. But it's like, hey, man, I can't eat this stuff here. I got to bring it. A bag of avocados and here's my smoothie. There's turmeric in here right now.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
I'm growing moringa also. I grow aloe. I grow my own ginger. I don't use it in here, but I grow my own ginger and use it in cooking. I grow my own garlic, all of it. So probably not as much as what you grow, but at least it's something. We got to start somewhere.
Right. And it's kind of a joyful addiction. I never want to stop. People say, when will you stop? I'll never stop. It's joyful. I haven't worked for about 3 years. It's pure joy every single day, all day long, meeting people, and all these people are coming. A lot of people, famous people are coming and saying, holy, I'm going to do this at home. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, let's talk about the paradigm shift that's taking place, because I think what you represent, Jim, is it's part of this global awakening where the systems of centralized control are failing, whether those are systems of food, medicine, central banks, money, government, you name it, education. Centralized systems are broken. They are eroding. They are corrupt. They're filled with fraud and so on. It's only by getting away from those systems do we find joy, health, abundance, community, love, peace, the things that actually matter in life, right? Is that a fair assessment of what you are experiencing there?
It's 100%. There's so much deception in our world by the evil, by the controllers, whatever we call this psychopathic top-down structure. And the only way to win is to go inside, to live in presence, and then to serve. And when we serve, you've served so many people for so long that you're very successful in life. And a lot of wicked people, they're living in scarcity. They're stacking billions of dollars, and they're providing poisons for the world, right?
Yeah.
When we start going inside and we start living with love and this attitude that the more people we truly serve, the better our lives are, then it goes infinite.
Right, exactly. Infinite abundance is what God intends for us to all discover and experience. And what's amazing to me, then, getting back to one of the main topics, the centralized control systems of our world, the cabal, as I call them, their power comes from scarcity, right? So they have to continue to engineer scarcity and fear, wars, for example, hunger, starvation. And you notice they never go to, let's say, a country in Africa where there are starving people. They never go there and teach them how to farm with permaculture principles, right? All they do is they say, here, have some bags of grain, fight over this grain, And then if you vote the way we want you to vote in the United Nations, we'll bring you more grain on another truck 2 weeks later. That's it. They never taught anybody how to actually live in a self-reliant situation.
No, they haven't. Imagine this one thing. We've got multiple we can get into, but imagine if a candidate for the presidency of the United States went into the school system and campaigned for an hour, and they talked about, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to take the poisons out of the school system, the poisons out of the school lunches, and the poisons out of the curriculum, and the poisons out of the land. And our students are going to learn how to grow their own healthy food. Now, some people go, that seems too hard. It's absolutely not. Right? That's the illusion. That's the lie. It's really easy. In fact, I don't grow anything. I put it in the ground in good soil with a guild, right? Some perennial peanuts, some nitrogen fixers, some flowers to attract beneficial insects and pollinators. You put that guild together, you don't ever have to maintain it again, right? So we show the students how to use permaculture in their landscape. If that's all we did, if that's all the candidate achieved, then every school would become a nursery, every school would become a Garden of Eden, and it would go boom, the world would be healed.
Yeah, that's so true. Again, the answers are right there in front of us. It's extraordinary. But what I love about what you're doing, Jim, in a world where so many people simply talk and where so many things are virtual, even what we talk about on the show, a lot of it could be crypto, it could be privacy, technology, but that's an abstraction layer on top of the real physical 3D world. So what you're doing with the help of nature, as we've talked about here, you are creating real abundance, or maybe the better word is you're allowing it, right? You're structuring the environment so that it allows this abundance. You're not poisoning it, right? But you're in the real world. That's what's so wonderful, because I hear people, in the crypto space talking about, they bought early and now they're rich. Really? How rich are you? I mean, you still live, in a concrete jungle somewhere and you're eating crap. How is that rich? You know what I mean?
I do. So many of those people are so diseased. I would not trade places with any of those psychopaths who are miserable. I truly think that they're living in hell. Right?
Yeah.
They're so sick, so diseased, so distraught. That's why they're willing to kill the planet, because they'd rather see death of themselves. But since they're not courageous enough to do that, they'll kill everybody else, right? And that's our opportunity. And again, this is the biggest opportunity in the history of humanity right now, is to turn our lives into lives leading with faith and courage and demonstrating these principles that you and I are talking about. And then when we do that, we inspire everybody that's witnessing this. And they say, what are you doing? Why are you so happy? Well, here's why. Because I live like this and everybody wins. And yeah, everybody wins.
And here's another interesting concept to run by you. You know how we talk about money printing and it's a source of evil and it devalues the money supply. But now in contrast to that, what you're doing is, if I could describe it this way, Mother Nature printing food. It's kind of like Mother Nature's 3D printing technology. It's assembling molecules, synthesizing molecules like we just talked about anthocyanins, or think about the sulforaphane in broccoli sprouts, or the resveratrol in grape leaves or grape skins. These are all highly medicinal molecules. There are anti-cancer molecules, anti-diabetes molecules, and so on. Mother Nature prints those molecules for free, but unlike the Fed, when the Fed prints, we all lose. When Mother Nature prints, we all win.
100%. People say money doesn't grow on trees. Well, what are they talking about? My trees are full of wealth, like massive amounts of wealth. One of my favorite concepts is you can count the seeds in an apple, but you cannot count the apples in a single seed. You can take one apple seed, within 10 years, you can have 1 billion apples.
Yeah, exactly. There's no limit to the abundance. This is this mindset that is just extraordinary. And I think a lot of people watching this show, and even some who haven't seen it yet, they are coming to realize that the whole paradigm that we've lived under, which is authoritarian control, censorship, surveillance, and scarcity, fear, war, death, destruction, That whole paradigm, which has dominated our planet throughout history, it can end. We don't need that paradigm. In fact, I think if we continue along with that paradigm, we will destroy ourselves as a civilization. But if we change, we can thrive for millennia to come.
100%. And it's happening. And I see a very clear path to a complete 100th monkey, a tipping point in the next 16 months. There are so many energetic systems going on right now. And a lot of people think, oh, this is so hard. So much stuff has to happen. No, it doesn't. We just have to inspire and catalyze this mass awareness. So we've got 3 different TV shows that are collaborating with us. We've got people from all around the world that are creating these demonstration systems. The permaculture movement has been around for 50 years, and it's rocking. One thing about the movement is a lot of people in that movement have been kind of co-opted to go along with the narrative out of some kind of fear. So the ones, it's kind of went half and half. The ones in the permaculture movement who are relating permaculture to freedom, they're rocking. And some of the other ones are rocking as well. But permaculture literally equals freedom.
See, and that's a really good point, because if you have food abundance and food redundancy, self-reliance, then you can't be forced into behavioral changes or social engineering by the government due to food scarcity. Because, right, when they start having more scarcity and more rationing, they can demand, oh, well, in order to qualify for your free food stamps through this digital wallet that we control, oh, guess what? You're going to have to agree to be injected with these experimental medicines, for example, or whatever else. You're going to have to agree to these things. Now you're a slave to the system if you want to eat. It's just mass obedience at that point.
Yes, it's mass ignorance, mass obedience. And so that's why this is the opportunity again. So let's take an entity like True Green. Right? People have heard of True Green. It's owned by one of the oldest investment firms in the world, who's partners with BlackRock, which is not only the name, but the intention of that entity. By their deeds, you shall know them, right? If that entity, when that entity takes out the poisons, the glyphosate out of their vats, right? They have thousands of trucks and employees all over the world. And when they simply put compost tea instead of glyphosate in those vats and spray compost tea around the world, now they're going around the world healing the world, right? And this is just one example. And so that's why pretty soon, in the very near future, people will be like, what are we doing? We got to take this out. It's already happening at scale. There's already been billions of dollars of lawsuits paid. And their one contingency is, yeah, we'll pay the $6 billion as long as we can keep the product on the shelf. That's mind-blowing. And even the Democrats agree that that's insane, right? So now we're that close to making that tip, and it's going to go nuts with abundance.
That's amazing. Now, you mentioned 16 months as a time frame here, and I'm curious, what, in your mind, what is happening in 16 months that's going to reach this tipping point?
The biggest energy vampire in our world is happening over the next 16 months. That's the U.S. presidential election. And what I've recognized with all of the candidates, and I am somewhat fans of a couple of them, what I've recognized is they have not made the transition to talking about the solutions. They're talking about, and they're building their campaign strategies based on talking about the problems. When we can get them, and we've got a strategy to do this that they will not be able to deny, when we can get them to turn and say, yes, here's the problem, and then they can point to the solution and be standing in the school system with the kids. They can be standing in the prisons with the inmates. They can be standing in the city parks with all of the people in an opportunity zone who are sick and diseased. And they could be putting in a food forest on camera while giving their campaign speeches. That campaign itself is going to change the world.
Wow. So you think that this election could be a game changer for America and the world? I mean, I'm a little skeptical of that idea, although I totally welcome it. I love your optimism and enthusiasm, but I'm always reluctant to think that one person could make such a difference in a system that's so corrupt. It seems like it's going to have to happen from the bottom up instead. That's just my view, but what's your reaction to that?
I think that's absolutely normal to have that reaction. And it's not about actually changing the person. It's about showing humanity what's possible. So we've got some strategies that I'll share with you offline that are going to create a viral movement where people are going, oh my God, this candidate actually has a solution. And the candidate then is going to have to either say, yes, I am with this solution, I am part of this solution, or they're going to have to deny the solution. Now, the solution is going to be so obvious and so beautiful and so helpful to the world that they will not be able to deny it without exposing their true intentions.
Well, very interesting. Now, this show is not about politics per se, but since you brought it up, I have to mention, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the one candidate I know of who right now opposes glyphosate, atrazine, herbicides, pesticides in the food supply. He opposes GMOs. He opposes heavy metals pollution, industrial pollution, biosludge pollution. I know this because I've interviewed him about these topics and many more. I don't think that Trump is nearly as aware of these issues as RFK. Other candidates, is anybody come to mind that might be on board with this?
So RFK I had a dream about him the other day where his boat was sinking and we were sitting and I was consoling him and I was saying, hey, I've got some ideas for you. And he is one of the centerpieces of this strategy. And to RFK, if you're listening, I would love to chat with you because we have the solution for your candidacy, for your strategy that will not only win you the election, but the campaign itself will literally inspire and empower the world to be free.
Wow. Yeah, America can set the tone for the rest of the world. But again, this gets to the issue of what this show is about. So right now, America has been geopolitically about centralized control. It's like, oh, we're the American empire, and we go around the world and we bomb countries that don't do what we want them to do. I mean, ask Gaddafi. Oh, wait, he's dead. We killed him, right? We go around the world with military bases and economic policies and pushing GMOs and pushing big pharma and pushing even, by the way, LGBT agendas as well. And America doesn't allow other countries to be themselves,
Yes.
So something's going to have to change here at home to kind of recognize that other nations have a right to exist.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
So imagine Bobby Kennedy making the claim, we are going to end world wars in the next 4 years. And here's exactly how we're going to do it. We are going to go into all of our army bases around the world, and we are going to design and install this epic food forest nursery all over. We're going to use a fraction of the resources that we are currently using to destroy. And we are going to put down those lead seeds of liberty, and we are going to grab true seeds of liberty. We are going to create the Garden of Eden, and then we're going to leave that base to the community along with whatever they want to do. This is their land. We're going to walk away and we're going to leave them a nursery that they can use to propagate freedom and abundance throughout their land. We do that in every base around the world. We just ended world wars.
Wow. I'm starting to get a sense of your idea. That's extraordinary. We could use military bases as educational demonstration hubs in all these countries.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's just one. We've got multiple layers of these strategies that I'm just speaking in 2 minutes on that.
Yeah.
Imagine a candidate in an hour or 2 hour speech declaring that we are here to provide peace on earth to the best of our ability. And so we're going to leave you this, and here's how you can use this to create health and wellness for your society, and invite in the leaders that we want to invite in, the ethical ones, to help propagate and spread, and the business leaders, the corporations. We invite all of these entities in, the social media influencers. When we combine these energies, then investing in life is infinitely better than investing in death.
Well, what if instead of airdropping cluster bombs and landmines all over the world, including, Ukraine and the Middle East and who knows where else, what if we were airdropping non-GMO heirloom seeds with instructions for permaculture production, right? Like use the military infrastructure to start distributing knowledge and freedom and abundance. And of course, the weapons manufacturers wouldn't be very happy about that.
No, they're not. And you know what?
That-
They're going down too. And that's the thing. People are starting to recognize that this is an unsustainable path, and all unsustainable systems fail. And they might be building their underground bunkers and all this crazy, destructive, insane crap, right? But when we invite them, right? And I'm not giving them a pass by any means, but we invite those people who have been destroying the world. We empower them to empower themselves, let go of the fear and scarcity that has led them to be so radically destructive. And now they start doing the right thing. Well, they will be saved.
Yeah, yeah, wow, yeah, extraordinary. It's a paradigm shift that's necessary for humanity. And by the way, folks, I can already hear some of the feedback. We're not saying that there's not a place for national defense,
No.
right? I mean, clearly you have to protect your borders. Clearly you do need to have some means to protect your nation and your innocent people against, let's say, instigators of violence from abroad, whoever they might be. But what if we weren't in the business of war and instead in the business of food and natural medicine and abundance and peace and teaching people instead of killing people, right? That's what you're saying, Jim, I think.
It's exactly what I'm saying. When everybody eats, when scarcity is gone throughout the world, which is logical on every level, then there will not be the same desire for war.
Well said. Okay, so in the few minutes that we have left here, Jim, let me ask you about your thoughts on digital money, crypto. You said previously that you accept crypto for payment at your location there. Do you have plans to do more with crypto, or what kind of crypto do you accept? Are you aware of privacy coins? Just give us your understanding of crypto's role in your vision for the future here.
Yes. So an hour and a half ago, I was having this exact conversation with one of my friends. I'm looking for a platform to take our corporation out of the standard system. And because like my property is in trust, my bank account's in trust. I have a new passport that's completely off the normal grid, right? So I'm partway there. But I'm looking for a platform like a PMA or something. And I think we're going to do a trust platform to take ourselves out of the corporation system. And if anybody out there has a crypto or something like that that could help us do that in a way that's scalable, right? Because our intention is global scale, then I'd be loving that conversation.
Well, certainly you and I can talk in the weeks and months ahead about what we're learning here on the show, because we're interviewing really the leaders in this space, especially in privacy coins. And you know, the thing about privacy coins is no one knows you have them. No one knows how you've spent them. And you know how Bitcoin, which is a very important crypto, obviously the number one crypto, but it's a transparent blockchain. So it's easy for people to see how you've used that. But privacy coins, and again, we're going to interview a lot of people, it's unconfiscatable. No one knows you have it. So it's a store of value that you can just memorize the password. It's in your head. So it's portable. You could go anywhere. You could, if you had to flee an area and move somewhere else around the world and start a new food forest operation there. Sorry, not a nude food forest, but a nudist food. There you go. Yeah, picking papayas in the nude. But no, a new food forest anywhere in the world, you could then take a store of value with you in your mind with your password and then recreate that abundance in a new location, and you don't have to get permission from any government or any bank in order to do that. That's what we're talking about.
I love that. That's a big piece of the puzzle. We need to find a store of value. Right now, you know, it's a transitional period. So I love the conversation, and I want to do it as fast as possible.
Yeah, this is why I wanted to have you on too, because I sense urgency out there. I sense that the failures of the centralized systems are accelerating. Do you see that too?
Oh, I've been studying the food supply chain for a long time, and it's already done. Most people aren't aware of it yet, but they're becoming aware of it at scale. And when I say done, it's also poisonous, right? So this takes out their control of medicine, because when we eat healthy food, we're not sick anymore, right. Which is one of the ultimate control mechanisms is our health. So yes, I think by this fall, most people in the world are going to be hyper aware of it.
What kind of comments do you hear from people who come in and view what you're doing firsthand, and what are they saying to you?
I get a lot of tears, a lot of I'm emotional right now. Um, a lot of joy, a lot of I can't wait to do this at home, a lot of I got to sell my condo and move out to the country.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. We've had I don't know how many visitors, probably 1,000 or something, and we are 100%. Not one person has ever left uninspired.
So it's not just a casual thing where people are like, "Oh, this is interesting," but whatever. It's life changing, is what you're describing.
It's yes, we've taken people. I don't invite people who wear masks. I say, no masks allowed. So we've kind of put a little bit of a border up against those people. But at the same time, if they want to take off their masks and they want to talk to me, look me in the eye and have a conversation and walk through the food forest, there's been a few of those. Every one of them has changed, has had a change of heart.
Wow. I wonder, what do you think that is? Is it connection with nature? Is it a realization that they've been living in the matrix? What is it?
It's a realization that they've been lied to. The climate change narrative, the overpopulation narrative, all of these narratives, we demonstrate that they're lies, right? Carbon is in the soil. The best way to sequester carbon, which isn't necessary, but the best way to do it is to grow fruit trees, to grow healthy food. And so when they experience it, they can no longer deny that it's possible.
Wow. And it's not just, theoretical. You're showing people they can eat the food that as they're visiting the farm.
Yes. And when they find out how easy it is to maintain, we could walk away for 30 years, come back in 30 years, and our food forest would be at minimum hundreds of miles across because the birds, the wind, and the rain come into the food forest and they spread the seeds.
Yeah. And the location is it near Orlando or where exactly is it?
Yes, it's in St. Cloud, Florida.
Okay, I'm not sure where that is, but can
45
you give
45 minutes from the Orlando International Airport.
Okay.
And we love bringing people there to experience. So anybody listening, please come and visit.
All right. So the website is foodforestabundance.com. And Jim, if I get to Florida anytime in the near future, you'll be my number one destination. How about that?
I love it.
Yeah, Florida is a great state, and the people are great. The climate is really amazing, and the growing season is just extraordinary. I guess your only risk is hurricanes, really, that could harm things. But if your food forest is resilient, it can come back from that in one season, right?
Well, check this out. So last October, we had 2 hurricanes, and in December, we had a 40-year freeze. One of the hurricanes brought a 500-year flood. So we had massive climactic activity. We had some tornado or something came through, and it ripped up steel beams. It ripped up some solar panels. But the bananas and all the fruit trees were fine, right? And yeah, it was crazy. The freeze did more damage, but yet almost every single thing came back. 90+%, 99% actually, of our stuff came back, partly because we designed it. We have water. Water is a heat sink.
Yes.
So we designed it to create a moderate temperature throughout.
Yeah, and a lot of the plants that you grow are so resilient anyway, like bananas. I mean, you can cut them off at the base and they're going to come back. They're fine. Yeah, in just a couple of months. They're very resilient. Well, Jim, I want to say that you're an inspiration to myself and to so many people who've been watching you. And what you're doing is extraordinary. I think it's the perfect model for food decentralization, which is what we need to survive as a civilization. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you, Mike, for everything you've been doing for a long time. I appreciate you so much.
Well, likewise, we appreciate you. And of course, if you ever come to Texas, you're welcome to join us in studio. We'll show you the Texas world here and what's going on there. But we'll talk again. Keep us posted. Any new announcements, you've got my number. Keep me posted, and we'll get you back on in the future.
All right, buddy. See you soon.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you, Jim. Thank you. And that was Jim Gale, folks. What an extraordinary man, and just doing amazing things for our world. Now, we're going to bring in our co-host, Todd Pittner, for reaction to that interview coming up next, right here on Decentralize TV. Join the official discussion channel for this show on Telegram at t.me/decentralize. Decentralize TV, where you can ask questions or offer suggestions of who we should interview next. Also be sure to subscribe to the email newsletter on Decentralize.tv, where you'll be alerted about 1 day in advance of each new upcoming episode, before it gets published. On Decentralize.tv, you'll also find links to our video channels and social media channels across all platforms, including Brighteon, Rumble, BitChute, Twitter, Truth Social, and more. Check it all out at Decentralize.tv. All right, welcome back to Decentralize.tv. Of course, I'm joined now in this segment with my co-host, Todd Pittner. And Todd has, even though he wasn't here to conduct the interview because he was off sailing around the world or something, and he'll tell us about it, or getting struck by lightning somewhere on the ocean, I don't know. But he's here to react to the interview with Jim Gale. So welcome back, Todd. Great to have you back. I'm glad you made it.
Thank you. I'm glad I made it as well. Yes, I went down to Costa Rica, and we went out of 2 booked fishing trips, deep sea fishing trips out of Los Sueños. And that's really kind of the capital of the world for deep sea fishing. And I didn't make Thursday morning's trip because it was just too early, but definitely going on Saturday. And when we got there to the big fishing boat on Saturday, the lightning was striking the boats. And what I learned in Costa Rica, it's rain or shine, you don't get a refund. If you decide you want to wimp out because lightning is literally striking the boats, that's your problem. They're still getting paid. So yeah,
wow.
went down there, didn't go fishing at all, but we'll try it late August again.
Okay, all right. Well, lightning on a boat on the ocean sounds like fun, but if you really want to up your game, I hear you can buy a $250,000 ticket to an imploding submarine. Also, that's an adventure.
That would be an adventure, but yeah, I'm so excited. I am a little bit jealous that I wasn't able to participate in these interviews, but you were kind enough to give me the recording so that I could listen and then respond. So Jim Gale.
Yeah, tell me, what do you think about Jim Gale, huh?
Well, I know Jim rather well, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But the problem with Jim, as those who are watching this now, you've already seen, Jim, Mike, just does not have much energy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, very boring, apathetic, low energy guy all around. Yeah, for sure.
There's some people that bring energy to a room and others who suck the life out of it. And I could notice you had to carry the entire interview, so I'm sure you were exhausted.
Right.
But no, what an amazing human being he is. Amazing business, amazing vision, amazing entrepreneur. I actually, 2.5 years ago, spent time out there at Galt's Landing on that private lake. And I literally was this close to putting the deposit down on one of the acre lots.
Is that right?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. We spent an entire night there together. Because before they started building anything, they just had these campers out there that were solar powered. And so we went and had a heck of a bonfire one night, smoked some cigars, and maybe drank a little adult beverage or two. But it was really amazing. And back then, he shared with me his little test food forest that he did in a back part of the property. And he had just basically threw out all kinds of seeds a year earlier, and it was all coming in. It was amazing. I mean, he didn't do a thing with it for a year. And then he was just pointing to this plant, that plant. I swear he knows every plant in the world. But I spoke with him today, Mike, and I will tell you, I was so excited after hearing this interview. It brought back amazing memories. I went ahead and I'm putting my money where my mouth is. And I reached out to him, and I have a Friday at 9:30 a.m. Call with his designer, and I'm going to have Food Forest Abundance. I'm going to hire them to come design my back area, my back property. I have about, I'd say an acre back there. And I'm going to have him put a food forest in my backyard.
Wow. That's huge. All right. So
and I want to be able to document it the entire way.
Oh, I love that.
For this show. and be able to give updates. And as they're installing it,
Please do.
Yes, it's going to be awesome.
Okay, now, wow. Now, remind me, where do you live again?
I live in Tampa, Florida, and
Okay.
Gulf's Landing is just southeast of Orlando Airport by maybe 20 miles.
So you'll be able to take advantage of a lot of the same plants that he's growing, and he can share starts with you, or banana bulbs or whatever. And
yes, and what's cool is you meet with their designer, and I have some peculiarities in my back area. One is it slopes down, and because it's Florida, it can be prone to holding water. So it can be really wet. So he goes through and he knows which plants will respond well to a wet, soil. And then the other thing is I have my treasured animals back there. I feed my deer. I've had anywhere from 2 to 7 deer back there that really graze, and there's a mama and a baby who've been with me for the last 2 years. I feed them every morning, every evening, and then I've grown very fond of my little raccoons. There were 2 raccoons.
You have raccoons as pets.
Yeah, 2 of them were abandoned by their mama, and so I literally just started going out there and feeding them, and they lost their fear totally of me. When I go out there and they see me coming, they come running like 2 little kids, and they'll jump on my legs. It's so cute. Raccoons get a bad rap. They are just wonderful little animals.
Well, wait till you try to have backyard chickens, and the raccoons rip them to shreds.
That's true.
And leave blood trails all over the place. That's that's what raccoons do in Texas.
Story.
I don't know.
But anyway, Jim's designer is going to plant the plants that he's going to recommend and are going to be not tasty to the deer. So that's what's cool. So they will design it around where you live, your conditions, and peculiarities that you have. Like, don't mess with my deer.
But the point is, this is really cool that you're going to become a client of Jim Gale's organization. You'll be able to report. I want to see photos in the months ahead of how it's going.
Yes.
But this is cool because this is another demonstration of you actually walking the talk, right? So here we are. Yes. Our show is called Decentralize TV. We talk about decentralized living, and we do live it ourselves. That's the thing. Like, we're going to be talking about another interview that I did called Local Monero, and I've been using that and engaging in trades and trying to learn this system. And you and I both, we do decentralize. We use crypto swap services or different methods of acquiring crypto. And I've had my accounts banned by 3 centralized exchanges now. So I'm getting a lot of experience in finding out what works and what doesn't work. But food is the topic here today. So do you think you're going to be able to grow some percentage, like 10% of your diet off of that, or what?
Well, if you recall, based upon his forest that he planted, 2 years ago, and then some additional ones a year ago, he can totally sustain himself off of just what he has planted. Jim, he said in the next month it's going to be 90%. His diet will be 90% of just going out into his forest. So
that's amazing.
I'm not going to say 90%, but once everything starts coming in, I'm sure I will, I don't know, 40% maybe. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But what I do know is that, my issue, frankly, and many other people will face it, is I'm in an HOA, and we're not supposed to do what I'm going to do.
Oh, you're going to have to contend with the neighborhood Nazis.
Yes.
Huh?
But those who know me know that I'm going to say, no, you move. I'm going to plant this food and bring it, but I'm going to actually do it in a very stealth way.
Okay. Stealth gardening. Yeah. That's a concept. And we call it guerrilla gardening.
Yeah. I'm going to guerrilla garden.
Yeah.
But it is all right. But apparently there's a Florida law, Jim told me, that HOAs can't stop you from growing your own food. So
Cool.
he's going to investigate that and get me the actual law. And then we're going to talk about that on Friday morning. But again, I want to be the tip of the spear for the community here. And I'm going to document it the entire way. Just Jim's going to come out personally, he and his designer, and we're going to go back there and I'm going to film every bit of it.
Okay. Question then.
Yeah.
Are you paying Jim in crypto for the services?
He said he would accept Epic Cash. And I'm like, my man.
Okay. All right. So he's going to get an Epic wallet running. You're going to pay him an Epic.
Another use
case.
Private money.
Hey, while we're talking about that, Todd, I should mention that on Brighteon.com, we've now activated 2 crypto coins, privacy coins, for our tipping system. And Epic Cash is the one we just recently activated. We did Monero first and then Epic, and we got a couple more we're going to be activating soon. So
that's awesome.
That's live now on Brighteon.com. Like, people can actually receive Epic, or they can receive Monero from their fan base, and it was great. I was in the Epic community on Telegram.
You were great.
Yeah, I was talking to some people there, and they were saying that now that this is active, they're gonna like bring everybody to Brighteon and ask them to donate to their channel via Epic. And I'm like, great, that's why we built it. You know, it's awesome.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Now, are you going to be adding that to your checkout too?
Yes.
For your products?
Yes.
Great.
I talked to my devs last night about that. Our devs that are working on that are not based in the United States. And so I have to be up at like midnight to talk to them about these things. But they're working on it, and we're going to be accepting a lot of crypto coins in our store, healthrangerstore.com. But anyway,
nice.
I mean, and there's a use case for food. But what you're doing, getting back to our point here today, is working with Jim Gale's organization. You're going to be growing food, which is, you know what that's like? It's like, you know how mining crypto, let's say you mine Bitcoin, you get Bitcoins, out of nothing.
Right.
And those are fresh, untainted, fully fungible Bitcoins that have no history. Well, when you grow food, Mother Nature is creating food from nothing. You're getting, it's like mining in essence.
Yeah. It's like mining, and the energy, though, you're not having to pay an electric bill.
Right. The energy is out of the sky for free.
God is your electrician.
Yeah, exactly. You get, the carbon dioxide comes out of the atmosphere for photosynthesis. You might have to have a water bill, but you're in Florida, so you probably don't have a shortage of water where you are, I would imagine.
You know what Jim told me? He said that's the beauty of the way they design everything, is you set it and forget it. You don't have to be a gardener. That's not the idea. The idea is to be able to just intelligently be able to plant the right ones, which is why you need his designers. They do this for a living, folks.
Oh, yeah.
And they will work with you no matter where you live. And, I have a sneaky suspicion, Mike, that there's going to be a lot of people just watching this show, Jim's interview. We should probably let everybody know where they could connect with Jim.
Yeah.
And
the website.
a little hint, we're going to be able to offer our audience a special code to be able to get a discount from Jim.
Is that right?
So yeah. So
really?
what before we launch this, we'll let people know. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. This is the first I'm hearing of it, but if you let me know what that is, then we can put it on screen. We can have our editors put it on screen.
This is hot off the press.
Okay. So is that at foodforestabundance.com?
Foodforestabundance.com.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll figure it out.
All right.
How it'll all work.
Okay, there's some kind of discount code, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Apparently.
And is that a discount off their design services?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do they offer design services nationwide, or is it just in Florida?
Nationwide.
Oh, really?
Nationwide.
So they can just kind of consult with you and help you design.
They can even design a food forest in your apartment.
Really?
It's what is it? Micro plants or the
microgreens?
Microgreens is they know how to do that too. So, but bottom line is, I was thinking about this. It's like, okay, you know what? I got out of fiat pretty much, out of my 401ks, IRAs, whole life insurance policies, savings. And I got into crypto, and I'm Epic Cash fanboy, and that's what I primarily hold. And so now by using the fiat to Epic Cash, which I'm now going to be paying Jim in Epic Cash, probably won't be able to pay for the trees and the plants and everything with that, but that's okay. But I just think about it. It's like, what a great use of really crappy green fiat. Ultimately,
Right.
that's gonna feed me. That fiat is going to feed me for years and years, and it's going to feed my neighbors. Because once these forests come in, man, it's Katie bar the doors. They don't stop. So you don't want it to just go to waste. So you tend to be your neighbor's favorite.
Yeah, true. And you could probably help evangelize these concepts with other people.
Right.
Bring them over, show them, hey, look, you could get your food from your backyard, or at least some portion of it. Now, Let's talk about this issue, though, getting back to the core of the show. Yeah. Decentralized living. So most people get their food from centralized locations, grocery stores, and of course, big corporate farming operations that grow with GMOs and pesticides and herbicides and so on. And they're producing nutrient depleted foods. They lack the trace minerals that soils would normally have if they're healthy, levels of selenium or zinc or even trace copper, things like that. Mm-hmm. And so they just put NPK on the crops. That's just the fertilizer. And then you grow crops that kind of look like they're real food, but they're lacking the minerals that healthy food would have. Mm-hmm. And so, but when it's centralized, it can be weaponized, right? That's the key to understand.
Yes.
Anything centralized can be weaponized against you. And we saw in the pandemic, we saw that there were, in some places, grocery stores had limits of how many people they would let into the store. Did you see that?
Yes. I experienced it, yeah.
Oh, you experienced it. Okay.
Yeah.
So there would be lines outside the store. It's like
lines outside. And then I was the lucky guy that said, no, I'm not putting on a mask. And I never did. So I had to fight other battles as well just to get into the stores.
Right. But I think this is going to get a lot worse because we know that global food shortages are worsening.
Yes.
We know that there's a fertilizer shortage. We know food scarcity is worsening and food inflation is worsening. And also, of course, geoengineering is happening. Weather weaponization is a real thing, and it's causing crop failures, which is contributing to food scarcity and famine and price increases. So all of these things point to the need for people to live a more decentralized life in terms of their food choices. And growing food is the easiest, simplest way to diversify your food supply chain.
It is. I mean, and it's just going to be fairly easy. That's what I love about it, is that I don't feel intimidated. Like if I literally had to put in a garden and tend to it, I'm telling you, I probably wouldn't. But I heard Jim say one time, the best time to put in a food forest was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
The second best time is today, right? So that's why I acted after listening to you interview him, is I picked up the phone and I called him and I said, the best time is today, Jim. And sorry. And, he responded, we were back to old times, but so anyone watching, please give it some consideration. And these food forests, they don't have to be massive, right? But the key is to start soon, because there is going to be a point in time where food is weaponized. They're going to withhold it as and barter with your health, likely.
Yeah, or your compliance. They will require you to comply with whatever craziness they have going on.
That's right.
Like you have to do this, you have to wear that, you have to say this, whatever.
Yeah. So if we want to be decentralized, we have to, on purpose, with intent, make the proper preparations to decentralize.
Yeah, clearly. And of course, everybody has to eat sooner or later. So this is critical. Sometimes people can be really consumed and overwhelmed in the world of crypto, and they could just focus on digits on the screen and their crypto accounts and I don't know, their wallets and holdings and everything, but don't forget to eat, and everybody has to eat. And
right.
if you're trying to live a more decentralized life, ultimately you've got to make food decentralization part of this recipe. Because otherwise you're at the mercy of essentially toxic agricultural corporations that control everything that you eat. And I was reading in the news just the other day, Tyson Foods is bringing back antibiotics to their chickens, even after promising their chickens to be antibiotic free. Well, apparently the economic conditions are worsening and they need more, chicken throughput. And so they're just bringing back the antibiotics because it allows them to produce more chicken meat. So, and, I don't want to eat any chicken from Tyson Foods at all.
No.
But if you don't decentralize, you might not have a choice,
That's right. So, So you raise chickens, yes?
Yes, I do. I have backyard chickens. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, are those backyard chickens for eggs or also meat?
Just eggs. Yeah. I don't raise meat chickens. In fact, I have a chicken convalescent retirement center from chickens lay eggs for a couple of years and then they don't, and they just hang out for a few more years until they keel over. And so I probably have the luckiest chickens in the country that they actually get to live out a lifespan and then die from natural causes.
You're awesome.
But it's not the most efficient way, obviously, to produce eggs. I probably have the world's most expensive eggs in terms of how much feed that I put into it, and it's all organic. So, it's organic feed, and then the eggs I'm probably. Yes. It's probably costing me $1 an egg, okay? But it's worth it,
But it's worth it.
It's worth it. I put a fresh egg in my smoothie. I feed them to my dogs, that keeps them healthy. So,
well, I have a sneaky suspicion that those of us who act on a food forest and taking control of our, destiny of food into our own hands, I have a sneaky suspicion we'll be some of the most healthy people out there.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Just because connecting with nature, you're going to have an entirely different respect level for it. And I remember Jim saying that we are so conditioned to store-bought food now and how it tastes. He's like, your taste buds will explode when you get the real thing.
True.
That doesn't have all the crap in it.
It's true. I can't eat the typical processed store food loaded up with salt and sugar, basically.
Right.
And artificial hydrogenated fats, but whatever. Let's just wrap up this conversation with some key points for people, okay? So, number one, the reason we had Jim Gale on is to remind you and us, all of us, that decentralized living must include food. And you don't have to grow your food to practice decentralized living. You can also join a local CSA, a community-supported agriculture group. You can visit local farmers markets, and you can support local farmers in that way. And we strongly encourage you to do so. It is critical, I think, actually, to build those relationships with the local farmers so that they know who you are when the day comes that the grocery stores are not open or the rationing is severe. You have a local farmer, or you know where to go get raw milk, let's say, or you have a source for eggs or whatever you need, or for beef. By the way, I bought a quarter of a steer that was butchered by one of my neighbors not long ago. And she has a few cows and she's like, yeah, butchering a steer. You want some? And I'm like, okay, I'll take 1/4. So, loaded up my freezer with that local, free range cow meat, right? I mean, you can't beat it.
No.
But you got to have those contacts. So, and that's why it also makes sense to live in a rural area. But yeah, your thoughts, Todd. Go ahead.
Well, my thoughts are, I look forward to getting a barbecue invitation from you next July 4th. It sounds to me like your freezer is going to be my best friend. No, you know what? This is when you and I first started talking about launching Decentralized TV, and it was just kind of a germ of an idea. I'll be honest with you, I hadn't thought everything through, and I still haven't. That's why we recommend anybody, please, 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 if you have suggestions of people that we should talk to, projects we should inquire about, and message us, give us some ideas. If you have other ideas on decentralized living, things that we haven't covered, but maybe you have some experience in, please, please reach out, because we are going to be learning along this journey right there with you. Wouldn't you say so, Mike?
Yeah, exactly. We are living it. We're exploring it every day. And we have a lot of great guests already lined up, but the calendar, yes, we're going to film 2 or 3 episodes a week. and so, we welcome new guests and new ideas, new projects to cover. And it doesn't have to be about tech. Just like our guest today, Jim Gale, it could be about food. It can be about medicine. It can be about law, frankly, the rule of law. It could be about finance. It could be medicine, whatever. Homeschooling, decentralization of education, decentralization of elections. It could be all kinds of things.
It's one of those things to where now that I'm kind of thinking about it differently, it's like, I want to do a real personal inventory of where in my life am I reliant on something or a company that is centralized, that if they shut off the spigot, that would negatively impact me in some way. And when I do that inventory, then I want to exercise the muscle of saying, okay, what are you going to do about it? What are the options? What's your BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, right? Well, I'm working on my BATNA now with my food, with Jim, and I encourage everyone else to think about that as well.
Well, and also decentralized communications, and a few days before we're filming this, a federal district judge issued a restraining order against the federal government, saying that the feds cannot tell big tech who to censor, because they've been doing that for years. And in this court case, by the way, Missouri and Louisiana versus the Biden administration, this court case, which is being prosecuted by the attorney generals of Missouri and Louisiana, I am specifically named in the documents that
Are you really?
Yeah, that in the discovery documents that the government was targeting myself and my platforms for censorship. Yes. And we're, by the way, I have my own legal team, and we're suing. We already issued demand letters to Apple and Google and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Twitter turned my account back on after they got that letter, by the way.
That's right.
The other companies we're going to be suing. We're actually suing them. We'll be filing that in the next couple of months. But
that's great.
The importance of decentralization and communications is critical. And that's why, this platform, Brighteon.com or Telegram, like you said, Todd, or Brighteon.social as a social media platform, it's critical that those of you watching, that you decentralize your life in as many areas as possible. It's not just about money. It's about food also. It's about communications. It's about where you get your news and information. There used to be, when I was growing up, Todd, same deal. We're close to the same age, but there were like three channels.
Yeah.
That's where you got your news. All 3 channels had the exact same narrative. What an amazing coincidence. And only in the last 20 years has there been any challenge to that, where anybody could say, wait a second, maybe that's not the way the story went down. But decentralization of information is critical for your survival, I believe. Your thoughts?
I just have one question that doesn't relate to that, but for those of us who are new to you, right? Can you share with us what Brighteon means?
Yeah, thanks. Well, Brighteon.com, Brighteon, Brighteon.com is just a free speech video platform. So it's like YouTube, but without the censorship.
But the name, I'm curious.
Oh, the name. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you come up with that?
Well, it means bright eon, which is like a bright era for humanity.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's what
I get it now.
That's what it means.
Okay, cool.
But when you create a new name and you need to get the domain name, and the trademark has to be clear, and it's got to be a name that's unique, that people won't confuse it with other things. So we came up with that few years back in launching that platform, and we do have the trademark on it as well. So
Love it.
that allows you to protect your domain name and things like that. But anyway, it's a decentralized platform for posting your videos and speaking your mind, and also now using crypto for a tipping system on there. And I forgot to mention, we just rolled out our own comment system. So we built, over the last year and a half, we built a commenting system to replace the centralized commenting system that was a third-party comment code.
Oh, perfect.
And that third party, which is called Discuss, it's a very common, popular commenting engine.
Yeah.
They were censoring users without our knowledge or consent.
Yeah.
So Discuss will censor people for saying certain things that they don't like. And we had no knowledge of that, and people would complain to us, like, why are you censoring my comments on Brighteon? And our response was, we're not censoring anything. And so ultimately we had to build our own commenting system, and that's already in place. It just got rolled out, a couple weeks ago.
See, that's what I so respect about you, Mike, is that instead of just being a spectator ankle biting on the sidelines, you're like, okay, this is what it is. I'm the most highly censored human being on the planet, it seems. So, okay, I'll build my own.
Yeah.
I mean, you are to be commended for that. And I hope everybody really, really understands from an entrepreneur standpoint, that didn't just happen overnight, nor was it inexpensive.
No.
I can guarantee you that.
No. Many millions of dollars in Brighteon at this point. But
yeah,
you got
but you've got alternative ways now that you accept crypto for tips. You're just taking what, 30% of the crypto,
taking 0%,
passing it on.
0%.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah.
I know you are.
Right.
But that's what's beautiful. You put your money where your mouth is, and to be commended.
Well, remember the slogan of this show, Todd, building the infrastructure of human freedom. So
yes.
What we hope is that the people who watch the show and who enjoy it, and by the way, don't forget the show also, it's on Rumble. You can share the Rumble link on Twitter, even though you can't currently share Brighteon links.
I tried sharing our first interview link on Facebook, and it immediately gave me the Heisman.
Yep, they won't allow that, but you can share Rumble links of the show.
Okay.
But I hope that if you're enjoying the show, that you're participating in building this infrastructure of human freedom, like you're doing, Todd, with your food forest in your backyard, your secret guerrilla garden there.
We got to find the just right name for it. We'll collectively figure that out.
Okay, all right, yeah, your secret Eden back there, whatever that is.
Yes,
but we all have to participate. You got to build systems that will give you sustainability. So let's wrap this up, Todd, because we've got some other interviews to talk about on other shows. But look, I think it's awesome that you're doing a food forest. Mm-hmm. I think we're both totally thumbs up on Jim Gale. And, he doesn't have a crypto coin for sale or a project to, fundraise or anything. He's just growing food and teaching other people how to do it. And that's amazing. That's 10 out of 10 in my book.
10 out of 10. And you know what? The dude is right. If RFK Jr., man, if that guy did what Jim said, I mean, I hope you connect them. I know you have an in over there, but he should give Jim 10 minutes to bend his ear on how he can win this election via food forests.
Yeah. Imagine the resilience and the health benefits, the redundancy if millions of Americans started growing food.
Yeah.
If we had a nationwide law that just said that no one can stop you from growing food in your front yard.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, our world would literally change. And I loved his idea. Instead of these True Green and these the folks that, just because we're trying to keep up with the Joneses with our yards, they're just spraying all kinds of nasty chemicals to keep them green and keep the weeds out. Imagine if they were spraying compost,
compost tea.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then everything would just be explode.
Well, and even though, my company, healthrangerstore.com, we sell food, But I've always said to people, we are your second best choice. Your first best choice is to grow it.
Yeah.
Grow it yourself, eat it fresh. The second choice is to have somebody else grow it. And of course, we do all the lab testing and heavy metals testing and glyphosate and everything. So I think we're the best second choice, but we're not the first choice. You should grow as much as you can. And then,
I have to tell you a quick funny story.
Yeah.
When I was 4 years old, I became an entrepreneur, and my dad would tell you, if he was still here, that I was unstoppable with my sales career, because he had a garden. We had a garden in the back, and particularly had lots of cucumbers, but I could not wait for the cucumbers to come in. So I would take them literally off the vine when they were like 4 inches long, but I would go sell every one of them out to the neighbors. They just thought I was the cutest little thing selling cucumbers. So I was nicknamed Cuke when I was growing up in my neighborhood.
Is that
Cuke.
right?
Yeah.
Well, how much did you get per cucumber?
Like a dime. I mean,
that's pretty good
or 4 of them, 4 for $1. Yeah.
Wow. They were paying a premium for your youth cuteness effect.
But it was hand delivered.
I see.
And you know what? Forget a chaperone. I didn't have a chaperone. I just manned up, and I picked my own cucumbers, and had to have a magnifying glass to find them in my bag.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
see, that's so funny. See, you and I were both entrepreneurs as kids. My friends and I, there was a golf course within walking distance of our house, and we would walk over there and walk around the perimeter of the golf course, collect the balls, and then sell them back to the golfers.
That's great.
Yeah, because the balls were outside the course, like they were in the forest or other fields and property. They was out. Like, I guess these were horrible golfers. They couldn't even keep it on the green. But we would get those balls, man, and we just march onto the golf course and just say, hey, you want to buy some golf balls? And we'd sell them to them at a discount.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's like a finder's fee.
Oh, I love it.
All right. Well, anyway, building the infrastructure of human freedom right there. Free commerce is a critical part of it. So, all right, let's do this. The sponsor of today's show deserves a mention here. The satellite phone store, sat123.com, is the website. These satellite phones work when the power grid doesn't. So it's an off-grid solution that even if you want to send text, you can use these bivy stick devices that are satellite-based texting devices, sending and receiving text. And they also sell, of course, off-grid solar generators using solar panels to store electricity to charge your electronic devices. And they can even run blenders and things like that, or laptops, things, whatever. So check it all out at sat123.com. That's the satellite phone store. They are the sponsor today. And I want to thank you, Todd, for joining me today and for your thoughts. And congratulations on your new food forest effort. And I can't wait to see what you produce there.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Seriously, it's going to be great, because Florida, you can grow a lot of things in Florida.
Right.
I want to see. You better grow some avocados.
Oh, yeah. Avocados, oranges, bananas.
Okay. Man. Macadamia nuts.
Except not sweet potatoes. I know people love sweet potatoes. Not me. I don't know why. I just can't do it. I just can't do sweet potatoes.
Well, when I lived in Ecuador, and I was growing about 70% of my diet there, and but unfortunately, about half of that was yucca root. So I had yucca root soup, like more than a lifetime. In 2 years, I had more yucca root soup than you could ever possibly want. So
you're still feeling the consequences.
The yucca root, I've had enough of that. All good. Yucca, onions and quinoa, that's fine. I've had enough, but at least I know how to grow it, in emergencies. But it's not the most amazing food in the world, that's for sure. Okay. Well, thank you, Todd. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. And thank all of you for joining us today here on Decentralize.tv. Be sure to go to the website, Decentralize.tv, sign up for the email list, because we're going to start emailing you the day before each episode airs and telling you who we're going to be interviewing on that episode. So you'll have about a 1 day heads up before that interview goes live. And we are interviewing a lot of pioneers and creators of various crypto projects, tech projects, DeFi projects coming up. We're booked out several weeks already now with the interviews coming up. So join our email list to be alerted. And of course, share this episode. You can repost it on other channels and platforms if you wish. You can even repost it on YouTube. They may not ban it. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you for all your support. Thank you for your interest in this subject, and do your part to build your own infrastructure for human freedom. That's how we make it through all the challenges that we're facing together. Thank you for watching. God bless you all. I'm Mike Adams, and Todd Pittner, our co-host. We wish you well. Take care.